This is Organ Quarter, a love letter to 90s horror games, but did they do it right? I'll be going over what the game offers and hopefully help you decide if this is one for you. There is a story here which is told through dialogue as well as notes found throughout the world. From what I can gather, there was some form of an experiment which has caused this infection which has affected the inhabitants of Organ Quarter. Majority of the time I didn't have a clue what was going on as it was a bit of a strange one, although I think it could be open to interpretation as well. Personally, the story isn't too bad, it's a nice touch and the characters you interact with are pretty decent. The voice acting is really good and it makes the characters sound mysterious and creepy. Every time I interacted with one of them I was intrigued by what they had to say. You also find tape recorders around the world which also gives you some more detail on what's happened. The soundtrack is great and even at times I just stopped to listen. Some of the songs are creepy and ominous while others are upbeat and gave me the feeling I was safe. Gameplay wise, it's a survival horror, so you will find yourself hunting for components to puzzles, ammo, health and various other objects within the world. You will face various enemies and luckily you do have some weapons to go against them with. Very early in the game you get a pistol and this is set to your dominant hand. Reloading is done by the press of a button, which I'm not too bothered by as there isn't any animation with this, it's just a noise. You will have to manage your inventory in this game and there is a chest in the safe room to store some of your stuff. You also have a map which you can mark locations on it yourself and I thought this was a pretty cool idea as this makes you explore the area and then tag it on the map if you wish. Overall the gameplay is decent, it's reminiscent to classic survival horror games. Let's talk about the graphics. Personally they ain't too great, but majority of the time I didn't really notice as the game is quite dark. I did find some objects that I could walk through and when getting close to walls, enemies and items I could notice the textures not being the best that they could be. However, it's worth noting that even though the graphics aren't that great, the game is still very creepy and the environments are eerie and the atmosphere is unsettling. I'm not sure if the graphics are intentional as they did make me feel like I was in a 90s horror game. However, I do feel with a game this gory and grotesque, more realistic textures would have been appreciated. As for the performance, I didn't run into any issues with crashing or frame drops and it was quite a smooth experience. Let's discuss settings and more importantly comfort with this game. First off, you can use smooth and snap turning plus teleportation. There are other comfort settings as well that helps with the experience. However, you cannot play this game seated and there is no button for crouching, so this means if you see bullets on the floor, under surfaces, you physically have to squat down to pick them up. Personally I would have liked a button to crouch as this can be quite off-putting for some players as they physically cannot keep squatting, kneeling and bending to reach items. I will say physically crouching and squatting did add to the immersion, but there was one point during the mines I was practically laying on the floor going through a tunnel. Overall, Organ Quarter is a creepy yet enjoyable experience. The game isn't too long and can be completed in roughly 4 to 5 hours on your first time playing. This heavily depends on how stuck you get on puzzles. I've enjoyed my time with this one and I will likely play through again at some point. My main issue with this game is the lack of a crouch button or not being able to play the game seated. I usually play VR standing, but I do know there is a lot of VR players out there that enjoy a seated experience and unfortunately this isn't one. So, should you get this? Well, if you enjoy survival horror games from the 90s or horrors in general, then this will likely be perfect for you. However, if you're someone who doesn't enjoy horror experiences, then avoid this one. That concludes my review for Organ Quarter. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to stick around as I'll be covering all PSVR2 games so you will see the new releases as well as the old. Thanks for watching.